This is Laura Gamble, aka the Sound Sommelier, talking with Fran Boogie. What's your earliest memory of hip hop?
Oh man, my earliest memory of hip hop was probably Rocket. Was probably my earliest, introduction to hip hop. I could just remember seeing that video come on and the scratching, just the video itself. You know what I mean? Herbie Hancock. I was just like, oh, this is a new sound. What was it? You know what I mean? What is it? I can't even recall the year. I don't want to Google it because I don't want to be a turd. But it was that many years ago, and yeah.
Do you remember, Fran,
Rocket.
how old you were? Like, were you in middle school?
Oh no, I was a kid. I was a little kid, but I was definitely already, when I was a young kid, I was already into music. I want to say I was probably in third grade maybe.
Mhm. Was
Second,
that
yeah.
because of your parents or just friends you knew? Or
My parents always used to listen to music in the house, but I don't like. There was no one I can remember like in my family that was like, oh, I'm a full-time musician, or I work in a nightclub or anything. It was just I don't know what it was, but I think it was just I don't know the energy really probably what it was to me.
nice.
So.
What is it about New York hip hop that makes it your personal favorite? Because I read that you said that.
Yeah, New York. I mean, I grew up in Yeah, everybody hates this. I grew up in Los Angeles. My whole, pretty much half of my life. Now the other half spent in San Francisco. But there was just something about New York hip hop to me that just was. It was me. You know what I mean? Whether it was Nas, whether it was Big Daddy Kane, it was just a whole different. I guess it was again. Let's go back to the energy. You know what I mean? Big
Hmm.
Daddy Kane, to me, was my favorite rapper
Yeah.
before Nas. I mean, he's the guy that he could spit. He was an entertainer. He could dance, and then he had his thing with the ladies. You know what I mean? So Big
Hmm.
Daddy Kane to me was like, yo, that's my hero.
You like your
And
idol?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I wasn't trying to be Big Daddy Kane or anything like that, but I mean, the dancing part to me was a huge part of it. The entertainment thing, the way he controlled the mic and just his presence was amazing to me.
Hmm.
So I think for like in regards to New York hip hop, I think Big Daddy Kane, I want to say back in 88, 89 was
Hmm.
really like, okay, I'm all out New York hip hop. This is me. Cause during that time in like the late 80s, there was a lot of, I grew up in, as well as in gangsta rap, NWA, Eazy-E, that whole thing, even with Two Live Crew. I mean, I thought it was dope, but it wasn't me in the sense, cause I guess I like to party in that way. So that was really what it was.
Nice. So you said you grew up in LA.
Yeah.
What was the scene like there as you kind of grew older?
So in LA, it was again is obviously the mecca for gangster rap. I mean, I'm a huge fan of NWA, Ice Cube. Death Certificate is one of my favorite albums, and it was that kind of energy, like especially in the early '80s. And then as I grew older, you discovered the underground hip hop, which is what I of LA. That's what I enjoyed. Your
Hmm.
far side, and whatnot. That was far side to me. Just kind of blew my mind. I
Yeah.
mean, me being a dancer and whatnot. Growing up as a dancer, that's what I really gravitated to. That was more of my style. I didn't gang bang. That wasn't my thing. You know,
Hmm.
not knocking it or anything. That's just something I wasn't into.
Hmm.
And again, just going back to the whole party thing, the party scene, the dance, and whatnot. That was just something, that this is my shit. You know what I mean? From the far side, then you get into Hyro and all the California, underground and whatnot. So that was my thing. And what I found with New York, that was New York's almost kind of their mainstream, right? So again, that's what it was. So
Nice. How would you say the scene today compares to what it was 10 or 20 years ago?
wow, I don't get to go home to LA a lot now, just
Hmm.
because I always got something going on here in the weekend.
Hmm.
Usually when I go to LA, it's usually because I'm booked for a gig, like, and which is dope, like whether it's, the Do Over or we do Sade versus Badu in,
Right.
in LA or, whatever the case, flavors with J Rock and Spinner and all that. That's when I usually get, to go back home.
Hmm.
Um, the scene I notice now in LA, LA is just so expansive. It's huge, you know what I mean? So there's still the underground hip hop, there's still the bottle service, type, the hip hop and whatnot. But oh Man, right now I don't know where the scene is at exactly in LA, just because everything, you know, that I see for the majority, what I see and what I follow on Instagram, and I totally could, be missing the point, but I mean, it's just a lot of before pre-COVID, it was just a lot of mainstream.
Right.
That was just what was big. For me, I gravitate, to the things that I enjoy, which is, you know, the spinner events in LA, the do-over. I've been rocking with those kids since they started, and the J-Rock, the Beat Junkie stuff and whatnot. But if I do, when I do go home and I get extended, days to go out there, I'll definitely tap in with the Hollywood, kids in Hollywood, whether it's, DJ Five or, see run around, see Eric Deluxe or see Bella Fiasco in LA, just because those are my friends, and I enjoy that scene. I have no problem with being ratchet at all. I think everybody needs it. And, once in a while, it's just something that I can't do every weekend. Right. And it's not my thing. I don't hate on it. It's just, I just have different taste. That's all. And, it works for them. Great. I have a good time at those events, as well. But it's just, I prefer, a different type of vibe.
I get it. So how long have you been in San Francisco now?
20 years.
Okay. So how is the scene there now compared to what it was 10 years ago?
Oh man, it sucks. San Francisco, yeah. I mean, it fell apart. I mean, for so many reasons. I mean, obviously the main thing is gentrification in San Francisco.
Right.
I've been doing parties in San Francisco for pretty much almost since I got here, almost for 20 years now. So I've seen it. Mm-hmm. I don't want to say it at its peak because its peak could have been, in the 90s, or whatnot. But, I was here for a good part of it. And the city is super expensive. People, as each, year over year, housing inflates and whatnot. And, you get, an influx of new people that move to SF, and, they're forcing, they forced the culture out of San Francisco. I mean, the creatives, the people, the artistic people, the musicians that once thrived in San Francisco, they've been forced out because they can't afford to live in the city. So when you're bringing all these people in from, different places of, not only the country, but the world, they don't bring any culture with them, or they don't feed the culture. They're there to make their, 6-figure salary and to wine and dine throughout the city. And then when it's time for them to go out, they fucking, bottle service, you know what I mean? And that's for the majority. And I can say that truthfully, you know what I mean? There's some, some people that, they'll discover a great, party, whether, it's the Stevie party or it's the Michael Jackson versus Prince, or, when the do-over comes to town, or when we do the day parties at the Phoenix, they'll come out for that. But just for the regular stuff, yeah, I mean, it got pretty bad. And it's just pretty much, just the whole crowd now that it's not even there for the music. They're there for the gram, where they just kind of dance and, kind of hold their phone up. And, I get it. You're young, you got money now and whatnot, but that doesn't get back to the culture of San Francisco. Anything, it's, it's really temporary what they're going through. So there hasn't been any growth in music and whatnot. People have left, whether it's to LA, whether it's to, other parts of the, United States, but the scene, the hip hop scene in San Francisco is trash, absolutely trash. Whoever's left has moved over to the East Bay. Oakland is amazing. Right. You know what I mean? Technically, it's still affordable, compared to San Francisco. Mm-hmm. So that's where, the creatives, musicians, the artists or whatnot that can afford, to stay in the Bay Area, they've gone to, the other side of the bridge. Before, 10 years ago, that wasn't really it. People would, from the East Bay and all parts, with everybody would, Saturday night, you're going to San Francisco. You're not going to Oakland. You know what I mean? Because that's where, it's the big city. It's, all this and all that. But it's just changed so much. Shit, it's probably me just getting old too. You know what I mean? You lose your demographic. You lose your crowd, and the younger kids aren't interested in seeing Rich Medina or you know what I mean, or Spinner or J-Rock, which which sucks. But they want to see the awesome Instagram DJ that has 40,000 followers and doesn't know shit about music. You know what I mean? Right. But yeah, I'm just being angry. No,
you can be as angry as you want.
That's what it is.
A friend of mine who's been trying to get me to move there for a while was saying, he's like, now's the time. He's like, it's like 90s to SF again because all the prices are going down because all of the Silicon Valley people are leaving because they can now work from home. And I was like,
Well, yeah. I mean, it's yet to be seen. But now, like when you bring that up, it's like I read an article on Facebook. It's like people that are leaving the Bay Area, they cannot take the Bay Area salary.
right.
So I'm not gonna go to like Ohio and make 30 grand or something like that. And not cool. Yeah, we're not doing that. So.
Yeah, no, I told him, I was like, I'll talk to me in December because we'll see if I stay somewhere.
Yeah, we'll see. So,
So I hear you used to be quite the dancer. You brought that up just now. Can you tell me a bit about how that led you to becoming an MC, hype man, host, promoter?
Yeah, well, I guess that's where it really started. Man, I enjoyed so many things growing up. First, my mom made me play the piano. I did that for a while. I kind of enjoyed it. That was at a young age. I want to say that was in the 4th grade. And then, I started really, really getting into basketball again. I wasn't the greatest, but you know what I mean? That's something I, enjoyed a lot. Went hard at playing basketball. Kind of did that, for a while. I would say into my sophomore year. I mean, I'm talking playing like 5-6 days a week, just all day, just playing basketball. And then, I've always been, a fan of music, and that 90s shit just came around, and it just fucking bit me in the ass. It wouldn't let go.
Mm-hmm.
And I started going out to nightclubs when I was a junior. And I mean, during school, when I was a junior on a weeknight, I'd go out to nightclubs. And the first club that I went to was, remember Bud Bundy from Married with Children?
I do.
Yeah, so Bud had a nightclub in Hollywood. It was called
Faustino, right? David Faustino.
Yep. Yeah. So his club is called Ballistics in Hollywood, and it was on a Thursday night, and it was all ages. So got wind of that when it opened. Hey, think you can get out of the house and go to Hollywood tonight? Of course I can. My fucking parents work at night. What the fuck are you talking? Let's go. You know what I mean? So at 16, I started going to Bud's club every Thursday night for like God knows how long.
Nice.
And that's where it started. It was all, now that I kind of find out about all the stuff, it was all the Hollywood kids, all the kids of the stars from Hollywood.
Right.
All the guys that sit on quote unquote Gucci Row at the Laker games, it was all their kids that basically created that nightclub. And that was, I didn't even know that till after. I just really went there to dance and whatnot, and just hang out and listen to music. But that's kind of where it started. And from there, it was just like going to nightclub, just honestly, just to go listen to music, to dance. And that was just my shit. And I'd be out 3-4 nights a week, from 16 on, and just out, you know what I mean? So that's where when the shit hit the fan at 16. So, yeah.
So how did that lead to you becoming a member of the Triple Threat DJs?
Oh. So so just a little clarity. So Fran Boogies actually happened not in LA, but in San Francisco.
Okay. So you weren't Fran Boogie until you got to SM.
No, I was in the scene. I've been in the scene. I grew up in the scene in Los Angeles, whether it was, as a dancer, as, promoting nightclubs, working, in marketing and, for record labels, radio stations, fashion, all of that. I was doing that already in LA. But the name Fran Boogie didn't happen till I moved to San Francisco. And that was kind of by fluke. There was no thing like, hey, I want to, be a hype man or an MC, because everybody's asking me, how do you do, how do I do what you do? Like, I don't know. I don't even know how I did what I did. You know what I mean?
It just happened.
It happened organically, which was pretty fucking dope. Because me, again, moved to San Francisco, going out and seeing the different, nightclubs out here. I knew a few of the DJs out here. So I'd, again, go out to all these, hip hop parties. And there was one particular party, it was at Mission Rock in San Francisco. And my boy, Mr. E, which is Al Pastor Papi, if you ever seen him on Instagram, one of my best friends. And then my boy, Randall, they used to do this party at Mission Rock. And Miguel would, he would be one of the headlining DJs, it was one of his events. And every time Mr. E would play, I'd be kind of like floating kind of adjacent to him, like kind of near because I would just vibing hard out to it because he played nothing but 90s shit, like 90,
Nice.
Boot Camp Click, Nas.
Mhm.
That's what's his
The
shit.
golden era stuff, yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah, exactly. Dusty ass hip hop. So when he'd play, man, I would just, I would get in my zone and I would just start rapping all the lyrics to every song and just, I'm just inadvertently being a hype man in that sense, or and just kind of, and then, whatever, the crowd would develop, and then next thing you know, we're all going crazy having this party right in front of, Mr. E. And this happened like pretty much every weekend. And then it was one of those things, he threw me the mic, and and that was honestly, that was it. It was just because I guess of my energy and just my love for hip hop, and it was just, and that's really how it started. So there was no auditioning for anything. This is, it just happened super organically, and
I've seen that happen at shows where someone will be like mouthing the words and they'll like hand them the mic. So you must have just impressed them.
That happens often. So yeah.
So I kind of skipped over it, but what brought you to San Francisco?
Change pace. I mean,
or just like, I just want to try it out.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was for a long time. I was in, LA, kind of did everything that I wanted to do. And, I'd come up here often to play basketball. When I was still playing basketball, I'd come up here for basketball tournaments. I play up here. I knew a lot of the promoters up here as well because they know me from Los Angeles from doing parties in LA.
Right.
And, it's kind of, coming back and then, doing parties. And then, this is cool. Like, this is something different, something, new I can do. And yes, there was a girl involved. But yeah, I mean, there was, it was a change of pace. And then like, I'm here and I've been here ever since.
Well, I guess it worked out then. So you're pretty well known in hip hop culture. I remember being on Jazzy Jeff's Break the Monotony virtual block party, and everyone would shout you out every time you came into the room. To what would you attribute your celebrity status?
I don't even know if that's a thing. I think, I mean, for Jeff, I've known Jeff for maybe 12 years or so. So every time Jeff would come to San Francisco, they put me on the bill. You know what I mean? Whether it's to promote, whether it's to host the event. And, we developed like a friend relationship. So every time he's, here, like, hey, Fran, I'm in town, or, what's up? We'd always, party, and it's always a fucking great time. You know what I mean? And I mean, for me, I've always grown up in hip hop, in the culture and whatnot. I've done, my birthday, one of my very first birthdays in San Francisco was with Questlove. Before he even started, before he was a full blown DJ, and that was in San Jose. That wasn't even in the city. Then, he one time before he blew up as a DJ, he remembered me, and he asked me to host for him at one of the parties he did in San Francisco. And it was just one of those things that, just kept building. I mean, Pete Rock, we've done, shows with Pete Rock like numerous times, Crazy Legs of the Rocksteady Crew, Spinner, Rich Medina. I mean, all these guys aren't just even guys anymore. They kind of became my friends, you know what I mean? In that sense, like, and, when they're in town, whether if I'm not working or if I'm not, and I'm not whatever, we're hanging out, you know what I mean? So that, I don't know, it's just, I guess, just my different relationships with everybody, whether it's the Beat Junkies, I've known them since I was 18 years old and whatnot. So again, by going to parties, in LA and growing up there, growing up in LA, I actually grew up with a lot of people in the scene who made it, you know what I mean? That made it, like whether it was the kids from Crooks and Castles, in the city, in LA and whatnot, they blew up. My boy, I mean, just so many, like the Beat Junkies have, blown up. I've always been around the DJ scene, whether it was, at the DMC battles, watching these guys battle. So like I met, I think, A-Track when he was probably 14 years old. And whatnot. Now it's coming for a circle that we start, we're doing, that we've done gigs together and whatnot. So it's kind of, I don't know if you want to say I'm at the right place at the right time, or just, I don't even know how to explain it, but just that's where I fall in. And I don't know, everybody, that's that thing like I put on Instagram, no, I'm not a DJ. Everybody thinks I'm a DJ because
Uh-huh.
I'm always surrounded, by these guys. Whether I'm, like I went to Nam, you know, this year, and it's been a few years since I went, but I went this year, and it was just like, God, I'm not a DJ, like, you know what I mean?
Right.
But it's one of those things that just that's who I've always run with. I mean, it's like following the music, you know what I mean? I've always chased that dragon, as a kid. So yeah.
I'm sure they see that in you. Like they don't think that you're just some like fanboy. They're like, he really has a respect for the culture. So.
Oh yeah, I mean, this is what I live for, Laura. I mean, this is what I've been. This is who I've been. I mean, you couldn't ask me to leave. You know what I mean? I would, I wouldn't leave willfully. You know what I mean? Willingly, I couldn't do that. You know what I mean? This is just, part of who I am every single day. Wake up, go to sleep. I mean, this is what I love. You know what I mean? So this is me forever.
I feel that.
Yeah.
So you're known for having a bit of a love affair with Fournette. I need to say that every time I'm in San Francisco, I have one friend that always gets me to do shots of Fournette. And I don't think it's as bad as a lot of people say it is, but what is it? Like, said friend calls you Fournette.
Yeah, I have a lot of, man. So the story with Fournette, okay. So we were doing this party called Flavor of the Month at Milk in San Francisco. It's on Haight Street, right across Amoeba. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the night, when whatever, we're cleaning up, breaking down, counting money or whatever, we're hanging out with the bartenders, right? Mm-hmm. So at the end of the night, we're just all hanging out at the bar. And, these guys really don't obviously like drink, right? During, work hours, because they got to work and shit. So, but when they're done, okay, it's party time, right? So I'm like, fuck, I'm worried. Yeah, I'm like, I'll say yes to anything. So we'll sit there, and then my boy Kyle, he brought out Fournette, and I go, what the fuck is this shit? You know what I mean? Because I took a whiff, and I go like, fuck, it smells like Christmas tree.
Like cough medicine or something.
Yeah, like it's like, Christmas tree. Like, what the fuck is this? I'm like, bro, he's all, just drink it. And I said, I took the shot, and they're like, fuck, it made my head go back. I was like, it definitely tasted like Christmas. That's what like the best thing I can,
I can see that.
It's like a better version of what's that licorice one? Jaeger.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
It's similar, right?
Mm-hmm.
Consistency, the viscosity is kind of the same.
Yeah.
And whatnot. The taste.
It has like a syrupy.
Yeah, right. It's a liqueur, right?
Yeah.
An aperitif.
Aperitif, yeah.
If you you want to take the hood rat out of me, if we want to go that way, it's an aperitif, right? Post dinner drink, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I took it like, oh, that shit, like, oh, I got really buzzed. Like, I go, why you drink this shit? It's like for the exact same reason. When it's time for me to drink, and the guys want to get fucked up, they'd have to sit there. Obviously, they're bartenders, so they could drink forever and not get buzzed. So when they drank Fournette, they got pretty fucked up quick. So that was their thing, you know what I mean? So without having to drink in volume, right?
Right.
So that's how it started. Cause I used to drink like everybody else, like, at that age, I was a Hennessy kid, my face, like when, we'd be, our events, so there's always be a bottle of Hennessy in my hand or something like that. Cause just that's, I didn't know better. You know what I mean? I just, okay, this is what we're drinking. And then, then the Fournette came along, and then it almost became as like a joke because I'd get everybody fucked up on it, and they'd get really upset, but but it was funny.
Thank you later.
Yeah, some do, some hate me. I got a Fournette story with pretty much almost every, like Jazzy Jeff, his wife. Mm-hmm. I mean, Mr. Chalk of the this is a good one. He'll laugh at this too. I made Mr. Chalk of the Beat Junkies. He came up here to San Francisco. I don't know if he was working but we hung out that night, and I got Mr. Chalk so fucked up off Fournette. I mean,
that he never had it before. That's what happened.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
He never had it before, but he went fuck it, I'll get to hang out, so we're gonna sit there and drink. He drank so much that he just lost his. He just like damn near died. Right, threw up everywhere, and
oh no,
he never had to drink after that in his life, so he quit drinking. after that. So
Oh,
yeah, we'll bring that. It's a funny story. We'll always, we always talk about that and laugh about it. Yeah, but I'm the reason why he doesn't drink anymore.
all right.
I don't know if it's a good thing. It's funny, but
It probably is.
it's a story. But yeah, I mean, it's just one of those, like, everybody knows, like, when they come to San Francisco, oh, Fran, we're gonna take a shot of Fournette. It's
Uh-huh.
almost it's automatic. Like, whether it's the guys from the Do Over, oh, they've heard about it. Oh, Fran, what's this Fournette shit? Like, I guess we got to drink it since we're in this. No, we're in San Francisco with you. Yeah, pretty much. You know what I mean? But that's the only time I drink it. People think I drink this at, like, in quarantine. I don't even own a bottle of that shit at the house.
Mm-hmm. No, it's
You
just
know
for
what I mean?
fun.
Like, yeah, it's one of those things that you it's one of those things that you just do with me when you come to San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of your bucket list thing. Okay, I'm gonna have to take a shot of Fournette, with Fran.
Yeah.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and that's the only time I drink it. I don't drink it casually. I don't drink it anywhere. It has to be with friends. I don't drink it by myself. And yeah, I mean, just because it's for me now, it's like a memory kind of thing. You know what I mean? So yeah,
I dig it.
yeah,
So being that you're a party guy, what's your
yeah.
idea of a perfect party? Like, are there any that you've hosted in the past that you would say like that was a perfect party?
The Do Over, hands down.
I've
The
heard
Do Over,
nothing but good things about that.
the Do Over is the premier party in the sense, because obviously they bring great talent out. They don't nickel and dime, like little DJs here. I'm not knocking anybody who hasn't done the Do Over. That's not what I'm saying. But they really come, they produce this event based on music, not
Not for
nothing
money.
else,
Mm-hmm.
not the money, not anything. It's always been about the music. And when I moved to San Francisco already, when they did the first Do Over in LA, and I flew back home for just to go check it out, and and hang out. And it was in this little spot off Hollywood. It was literally almost like a backyard, but it was just packed to the T. And when I went back, you knew who partied in LA and who was who in the scene. So
Right.
everybody in the scene was at that party, and there was no cell phone shit going on. People were legit dancing, and there was people that I don't want to say, but they were turned away, that were of Grammy caliber, that were turned away just because it just
They'd
what I
ruin it. Mm-hmm.
mean. And then they ruined it. It was just too much. They couldn't get they just couldn't get in. But
Right.
the duo was the party, that's just based on music. You know what I mean? Nothing else. Not on the guest list. Not how you see like the Instagram. It's not. This is before all of that, and it grew up into something fucking amazing. And I think the Do Over for me is just the perfect party. That has been the perfect party. Yeah.
How many
So
years
wait,
have
you never been?
No, everyone keeps trying to get me to go, and I don't know why I haven't been yet.
You've done it out in Brooklyn a few times.
It has.
Yeah, you should. Yeah, I mean, if we ever get back to normal, I mean, that's something I don't.
I like that you say it that way, because so many people are like, "Oh, when we get back to normal," and I'm like,
Not to be a pessimist, but entertainment doesn't fall up there as a necessity.
Yeah, I'll get to that later.